Today at the Dietary Restriction Kitchen, we're going to go back to a retro sort of recipe, and that is turkey noodle casserole. Great to use leftover turkey for this from Thanksgiving dinner, and our version is gluten and dairy free. We're going to add some chips to the top, but a different kind of chips to give it a little bit of a change of pace. And so let's get cooking retro style today. It's going to be a lot of fun. It smells amazing, and I can't wait to taste it either. So let's get started right now. Okay, so to start our turkey noodle casserole, first thing we need to do is boil a large pot of salted water. That's starting right now, and once that does boil, we will put in a cup of gluten-free pasta. I'm using this one here. I hope you can see that, fusilli, and that's my favorite kind. I've got it here ready. And in the other pot, okay, I'm going to turn that down right now because it's like, I'm heating up 2 tablespoons of vegan margarine. Okay, so to that, I'm going to add a bit of celery. I've already chopped it up. Did it last night. We're going to let that cook for a couple of minutes. Just to get the reason why I like to start my celery, any of the harder vegetables first, because they take longer to cook. So I like to just get that started. First off, I've got it on kind of medium high here. I'm watching my water so that I can put my pasta in when the water is ready, when the water is boiling. In fact, I have already previously boiled it, but then had to turn the water off because I was getting all my ingredients ready. So this is a great, retro sort of recipe, nostalgic. I mean, when was the last time we all had casserole, right? So yeah, this is great. You have a lot of work on the front end with this, but then later on, it's not much work on the back end because you're just putting it in the oven, right? And you can do this up ahead. Let's say you can put it together in the morning and then put it in the fridge, and then in the evening slip it into the oven to do the oven part, right? Okay, so that is boiling over there. That's what I'm waiting for, and I'm going to put my pasta in. And so this recipe, you can find it on the DRK website. That's the Dietary Restriction Kitchen website. The link will be in the description for this video, okay? So the full recipe is there. So we're going to get that started. We're going to let the celery go for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add our onion. Okay, so now the celery is good and soft. There's going to be quite a bit of margarine in there, but don't fret because that's going to create our sauce. We're going to add our onion into the pan now. It's about a half of a medium onion. Sorry, it's going to make a lot of noise here because I already had pre-chopped that and it's in my freezer, my fridge freezer. So I like to do that. Like if I'm cutting up a big onion, I just cut the whole thing. Use what I need for whatever recipe I'm making then, and then I freeze the rest. All right, so get that going for another couple of minutes. So let those 2 vegetables now get soft in there. And see, it's quite saucy at the bottom. That's okay because that's going to form our sauce in the pan anyway. So yeah, that's okay. Now let that go for another couple of minutes. I got to check on my pasta as well. Okay, so that's going quite well. See, and you can see just a little start with a little bit of a browning. We're going to get our seasonings into that. So again, all the recipe can be found on the Dietary Restriction Kitchen website. I've turned it down a little bit. We're going to get that in there like that. We've got a little bit of lemon juice to put in here, so I'm going to put it in right now. I want a little bit of sauciness. And then we're going to put the flour in. So there's a little bit of gluten-free 1-to-1 flour blend in there. Okay, so get that in there. Sometimes it helps just to lift it. So you're going to see it almost starts to create a roux in there. Starts to create that. So now what we're going to do is gradually going to switch over from this. Okay, let me get that off of the end of my big spoon. And what we're going to do is gradually whisk in our dairy-free milk. Okay, so we're going to do that, gradually whisk it in. So kind of whisking with one hand and pouring with the other. Okay, hold on. I'm going to put it down give it a good whisking at this point. I don't want that to be, like chunky in there. And at the same time, I'm trying to keep an eye on my pasta. So it's always a bit of a challenge. Let me just have a look here. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to turn that off and take them off the heat. So it'll finish off in there like that. So we're putting that, whisking this in here. I'm going to whisk some more in. So I just kind of do this, and then I can put it down and then whisk that in. Whisking it in pretty good here. So you can see it starts to make a bit of sauciness in there. And I'll do this at the bottom of the pan, sort of like that. So if you've got any, make sure you don't have any little chunkies of flour at the bottom. So you can see how that's starting to get a little bit creamy in there, in the bottom there, right? So yeah, and a little bit more. And I don't want that to curdle, although it's very hard to curdle oat milk or even coconut milk. So that's what I suggest using. You can use other dairy-free milks, but you got to be very careful you don't curdle them. Like almond milk has a tendency to curdle, okay, and also, something like rice milk, I don't know how that would work. I don't really work with rice milk very often, so I'm going to do another addition of the milk, the dairy-free milk, right? And yeah. So yeah, I usually kind of rub it against the bottom, because that way I know that I'm getting any lumpy bumpies out of there that may have occurred, right? So there. So that's going to continue to thicken. While that's doing that, I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to drain my pasta and rinse it in a bit of cold water so it stops it from cooking. Because it's just the where I want it. I don't want it. I just want it just al dente, the pasta, because I do not want it to be soggy once we have our casserole here at my house. So yeah, okay. So I'm going to turn that right down while I'm dealing with the pasta, and I will be back. Okay, so I've got my cooked pasta here on the side, ready to go. It's drained, it's rinsed in cold water. Now we got that milk, right? So now the next thing we're going to put in there is our dairy-free our cream cheese. Now this one that I got is got garlic and herb flavor in it. You could use the flavored ones. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you could use plain if you can find a dairy-free cream cheese that is a plain. You could do that as well. So we're going to get that in. It's messy a little bit, so we're going to get that, I want as cheesy flavor as we can, but we're doing it in a dairy-free way, right? So we're going to whisk that in. Got some on my finger. I had to lick it off. Okay. And then, see, so that's going to melt in there. This cream cheese works really well. I've made gluten-free and dairy-free mac and cheese with it as well. So I know it's going to work, right? I know this is going to work. So we're going to whisk that in. As you can see, you can probably tell it's melting in there nicely. So we're going to do that. Okay. Okay. Turn the heat down to medium-low, which I've kind of already done. Okay, let's do a little bit lower there. And sauce thicken. So we're trying to make that sauce thicken a little bit. I think that's pretty good. I want that to be, I want there to be a little movement in there, but you can see it's fairly thick. Right, so we're going to just get that cooked up a little bit for a couple of minutes. I'm going to just maybe let it go a little bit thicker, but I'm thinking it's pretty good there. But yeah, a couple more minutes and then we'll do the next step. Okay, so now at this point we need to take that sauce right off of the heat. And we have some dairy-free feta, which is divided into two parts, okay? So it's like a cup of dairy-free feta, or you could use the shredded dairy-free cheese of your choice. And we're going to put half of it in here and in with the sauce. And we're going to let that kind of start to melt up a little bit there as well. Okay, so yeah, it's gonna, just the heat of that's gonna start to melt that dairy-free feta. I love dairy-free feta. The kind that I like to buy is this one. So this is what I like to get. Works well, works great on pizza as well because it melts quite nicely. So I like that. This is the kind of dairy-free cream cheese that I used in the recipe. So this is a pretty good one if you want to try that. Okay, so that's sort of melty in there. There's going to be a little bit of chunkiness in there, but that's okay because, you know, you get that. Okay, so now we're going to fold in, we need some turkey. So it's 1.5 cups of shredded or cubed, already pre-cooked turkey. Oh, look, why am I using the whisk? I don't know. Why was I still using the whisk? So I'm going to get that, fold that turkey meat in there, see? So, yeah, and then we got some vegetables, about 1/2 cup, but it could be up to a cup. Oh, I don't like the look of that one. Yeah, so 1/2 cup to a cup of peas and carrots, frozen peas and carrots, and just thawed out a little bit, right? So it was all in a big hunk. A great way to use up some leftover peas and carrots in the back, you know, the back of your freezer or something in a little bag. Great way to do that as well. And so we got that in there, and now we're going to put our pasta in. Where did I put my pasta? Right there. So I just cooked it, you know, trying to get it just al dente. What you could do if you don't want to multitask at the same time is to cook your pasta and just watch it and just get it to that point that you want, and then start everything else. Okay, so now we are going to transfer that into our baking dish, which has been well buttered. Okay, well buttered, I say. I used some vegan margarine to butter it. Sorry about see, and that's going to fill that up nicely. Okay, sorry, you can see probably the side or the back of this big pot. Okay, there we go. Get you out of the way, buddy. Stop dripping on my floor. Okay, so there. So then you can see that's all like that. So that's not bad, right? So look, it's a little bit of juiciness, but that's okay. I want that. I don't want it to be like just dry, right? And then at this point, we are going to put in, I believe, the cheese. Let me just check. Okay, yeah. So we're going to get a little bit of a green herb. I'm using some summer savory today, and you're just going to sprinkle a little bit on top. You can use some dried oregano. You can use dried parsley. So you could do all that. Okay. And we've got for some crunch and some interest. You could use potato chips on the top that are crushed. I've got some sweet potato chips here, so I'm going to use that. I've already pre-crushed these, so I know that they're crushed. Okay, so I'm just going to, because I can't eat regular potatoes. If you can, you could use regular potato chips. So you can see that you're just going to put that over. It's a great way to use up leftover Thanksgiving turkey. And if you're using sweet potato chips, I use as much as you can. Yeah, it says a full cup of this. I'm just going to get my hand right in there. Getting into the corners. And that just makes that more colorful at the top too, right? If you're using sweet potato chips, it's going to make that really, and you know, this is going to add a little bit more salt to the dish. That piece of turkey standing, so, you know, it's kind of standing up in there, but yeah, it won't go down. That's okay. So add as much of that or as little as you want. I may as well just dump it in there, because what else am I going to use the rest of? A little tiny bit of that. Okay, I'm going to just spread it a little bit with my hands. You know, got to get my hands in there, right? And then the rest of that cheese. Okay, the rest of, oh, that's a good sized piece of going in my mouth. Okay, so the rest of the dairy-free feta cheese is going to make like a cheesy, crunchy sort of layer here. Okay, so I'm going to put that on the top. Spread that on the top. And if you want a little bit more of that, you know, saying, oh, I can't even see that now, and maybe we could put it on the top, you know, like, come on, is it not coming out? There we go. So now that goes in the oven for, my goodness, I'm looking at my recipe because I forget. It goes in a preheated oven that's at 400 for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay. I'd say check it at 20, right? So, and then we're gonna give that a try and see what we think of that, because it's been a long time since I've made a casserole, right? So let's get it in the oven and then we'll give it a good old try. Okay, so let's give the turkey noodle casserole a try. Let me step back. I've got some on the plate here, and let me snag a noodle. And oh, come on. It's dancing away from me there. Oh my gosh, that's lovely. That is actually lovely. Mmm. You know, I'm going to say it right out. My mom used to make sometimes, like, I don't know if she made turkey noodle casserole, but she used to make tuna noodle casserole. And I don't remember the sauce being as good as this. Seriously, I'm not kidding. It's cheesy, it's creamy, it's cheesy. You got that little bit of crunch for the top, but that sauce creamy and cheesy. Really lovely. Oh my gosh, I mean, that's better than, I had a feeling this was going to be good, but this is better than I thought. I'm not kidding. This tastes better than I thought it was going to taste even. Holy cow. Okay, I think we got a winner in my house. Seriously, this is awesome. For me and my family, I've cooked this up ahead. It's like just about 5:15 in the morning. It's all done. I'm going to save it. I'm going to let it cool. I'm going to cover it up, put it in my fridge, and I'm going to reheat it tonight for our supper tonight for my family and I. But wow, I'm going to have to be careful I don't eat a great big pile of it for breakfast. I don't think hold off. But seriously, this is really, really good. Those chips, and that bit of crunch, and to the top, a little bit of interest, and also because I've used sweet potato chips, there's a little tiny bit of sweetness, like that little, and it gives it some color, so it's not all pale all the way through, you know what I mean? So yeah, I hope you give it a try. I wasn't so sure about this, but I thought, hey, this might be a good way to use up turkey leftovers, for Thanksgiving. And so, yeah, and it definitely is. So I hope you give it a try. Something different from the classic, hot turkey sandwiches or turkey sandwiches for dinner. And, going back to the roots, right? Like, going back in time to when the casserole was king, right? You remember that? And so, yeah, give it a try. It is really, really good. Gluten and dairy free, people. Lovely. So, thanks for stopping by today and joining me here at the Dietary Restriction Kitchen. I really appreciate you being here. Can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now. That is good. That is good.